All right. So the last time I was here, I reflected maybe half a year ago on that video, and I thought it was pretty interesting to see. So it's been 7 years or so since we did one of these, and it was really interesting to see the contrast where I was then versus where I am now. So at the time I was getting ready to move back to Michigan. I'd been in New York working in the fashion industry, and I look back on that previous video and maybe was a little timid, a little lost, and not in a bad way, but I've been pretty on par with a lot of the things that I wanted to do. I remember I still wanted to just be able to keep traveling. I was working in the sustainable fashion industry here, and that actually was quite a plot twist. That has turned into owning my own company. I've got a studio downtown. I went to Grand Rapids. I'm still in Grand Rapids, which that's also surprising. I didn't think I'd stay in Grand Rapids that long. But yeah, that what I was doing career-wise has turned into I'm a full-time independent artist. I've got a studio downtown on the river in Grand Rapids, which actually feels very cool to have waterfront property, but it's very me version of waterfront property, where it's where the train tracks go over the bridge with a sketchy sketchy island. It's definitely not the nice waterfront property, but I feel like that's very fitting for me. I like that. But yeah, I feel like I've definitely prioritized traveling a lot, and grown a lot of confidence with that. One of the trips, actually, I'll go off on a little tangent story of this past winter. I went to Nicaragua, and I was actually had a little bit of a rough winter mentally, and was just kind of trying to come back to myself. And this trip was really reflective of where I was almost 10 years ago when I was 19. So we'll start with that little story of when I was 19, at the time I thought I was really brave, and now looking back and just doing a lot of reflecting of where I was even 10 years ago, I always thought this was really cool. I solo traveled to Peru by myself, was kind of lost, dropped out of college when I was 19. And at the time I thought I was pretty cool and independent. And now I think 10 years ago, 10 years later, I'm oh, might have been a little ignorant. It was interesting. But I got myself on this crazy adventure. So I didn't really know what to do with my life. I was feeling a little lost, but I wanted to travel. So I decided to go to Peru. I don't even know why I decided to go to Peru. And so I actually, what happened was I got linked up with this, it was kind of this college program, which is funny because I dropped out of college, but you could still apply. So my brother told me to apply to this thing, and it was you go for a month between semesters, and you volunteer for the community, whatever. And so I put a deposit down on it, and I remember really quickly I started wanting to make it my own adventure. And so the people in this program told me, it sounds like you don't want to do this program, after a couple emails back and forth. So they were we're just gonna refund you the money. Go do what you want. I think maybe they were just this kid's not in it. So less than 48 hours before I fly to Peru on my own, they refund me all this money. So I'm okay, I'm gonna be in Peru for a month, and I just crash course plan what I'm gonna do there. And it's funny too, because even 10 years ago, it was so expensive to make your phone work out of the country. So I went to Peru with knowing I wasn't going to have data, like phone service, anything. I could connect to Wi-Fi, but that was going to be it. So I crash course planned this trip, and I was like, get linked up with this group. I'm going to hike through the Andes, like to Machu Picchu for a couple weeks. And I mean, even on the flight there, or right before the flight, I realized I didn't have hiking boots. This is how unprepared I was. I had a school backpack, 3 changes of clothes. I buy hiking boots on the way to the airport, and head to Peru basically without a phone for a month. And it was just like a wild adventure. And I did. I don't know where I got all that bravery from. I don't remember being nervous at all. But yeah, I like arrived in Peru and like was in Cusco and like just wandered. You had to like acclimate to the climb or the elevation. So I just wandered for like a couple days until the hiking trip, and met up with like, there was like 3 other people who were travelers and like a hiking guide. So it's like, all right, we're good. They had a tent for me, it was fine. But I had my little school backpack, and I trekked for a couple weeks through the Andes. And like, I didn't even have a winter coat. Like the first day we like hiked way up and it was snowing. It was like the most beautiful, like, I'd never been anywhere so beautiful. And also like the people in Peru are just like beautiful people, like so much kindness there. And so I'm hiking through Peru, and just, I mean, a couple of days into the hike, my phone's dead. You know, there's nowhere to charge anything. We're just in the rural Andes, and a lot of the day I'm just hiking solo. There's so many like funny moments where it's just like, it was kind of like you'd start in the morning, everyone went at their own pace, and like we'd have meeting points, and like just so many strange things happen. Like I remember I was at this one part of the path where like, you know, it's like a little path and it's straight down on one end, straight up on the other end. And there's this horse that's right in the middle and no one's around me, like no one else in the group. And I'm just like, like, okay. And so I was like, like the horse wouldn't move. And I'm like, well, I can't go on this side of the horse because I can't fall off the mountain. So I like, my little backpack, I just like, went like this and like shimmied past this horse, like, and I'm like, all right, well, that was fine. Like nothing bad happened. But so there were some sketchy parts of this trip, which like I didn't really think about at the time. But like now reflecting back, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what was little Emily doing? Like if I could just go back and tell her. But like partway through the trip, the hiking guide wasn't making me the most comfortable. I was pretty much ready to get away from this like hiking group. So we trekked to Machu Picchu, and like I'm ready to be like solo on my own. And so kind of like get away from the group, get away from this hiking guide. I'm just like, you know, peace dude, like I'm good. I'll make it from here. And had an amazing day in Machu Picchu on my own, and had this train ticket. There's so many interesting things that happen. This is one of them. I still don't know how this happened. But so I got a dead phone, but I've got a train ticket back to Cusco. And so like my Spanish was not great. It still is not great. But I could read enough to know when to be at the train station, and like, so got on the train. It was the right train, I know it was. My seat was open, and it was a crowded train, so it's like, no, this is right. Like travel for a couple hours. And we get off, like it's the last stop. It was the only and last stop, I'm pretty certain. And everyone gets off the train, so I get off the train. Right when I get off the train, I'm just like, this is not Cusco. I have no idea where I am. And it was like really an oh shit moment. And again, this is like little 19-year-old Emily. Like my hair was like this. I was just a scrappy little kid figuring it out. But I get off the train and I'm not in Cusco. And I like panic, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And literally, like I remember looking to my left, looking to my right. When I look to my right, off in the distance, I see this hiking guide, which I was so ready to get away from. I see him jump into this van, and I'm just like, damn it. Like, so I yell his name and start running over. And he looks at me and he was just like, what are you doing here? And I'm just like, I got on the train you told me to get on. And he was just like, oh shit. Okay, well, you have to get back to Cusco. I don't know why you're here. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't even know where I am. So he's like, okay, like, well, get in. We're going back to Cusco. So little Emily, like, gets there. This is my only way back to Cusco. And I cram into this van with a bunch of, like, Sherpas, so, like mountain guides. And there's, like, oh my gosh, there's like probably 15 of us crammed into like a 8-person van and just go through the mountains in Peru. And like this part of the story, I realize as the older I get, I'm just like, girl, what were you doing? But at the time I did feel like everyone was very kind. And it's like, still feels weird to think about just going off of like the kindness and energy of others. But I didn't feel in danger in this situation. Thank goodness I wasn't. They got me back to Cusco. And they're just like, I was just this scrappy little kid hiking that like got lost on a train. Still don't know how. That does not make sense. But I get back to Cusco and then the adventure gets wilder. Like I went, I did this ayahuasca ceremony. Like I went to this retreat center in the Sacred Valley, and like that was this whole experience, which I won't get into, but like just very like deep dove into like figuring life out. And overall, it was just this amazing trip. But like it was funny because like I've been reflecting on. Like it's been 10 years since then. And like this year I've really been reflecting on like okay, wow, 10 years have gone by. And like who I was then versus who I was now. And this winter I was like maybe feeling a little lost and reflective of that time. So I decided to take another solo trip. And this was like the first solo trip that I'd taken out of the country since Peru. And so I went to Nicaragua. And again, very like in a me fashion, like I just wanted to go somewhere warm. I wanted to get away, and I just wanted to be elsewhere. So, and also with a very small budget. So I looked at what is the cheapest plane ticket right now to get out of here. And it was to Nicaragua. And I was like, perfect. And then I go and I find like a little house on the ocean and that I can afford, like super affordable. And I'm like, perfect, and I book that. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just rent a car, it's fine, it's no big deal. Rent a car, it's like $10 a day. And I'm like, perfect. So I like, and it's funny because like I remember like feeling like really nervous. And I even, this time I made sure my phone was gonna work out of the country, which was like very adult of me. And I remember feeling like a little bit nervous and like, and getting like flying, like making it there on very little sleep and renting a car, getting in the car and just having this moment of like, oh my gosh, who told me to like solo travel to Nicaragua? I've never driven here. I did no research and like nothing. I'm just like, let's go. So that part of me has stuck around. And like I start driving through the mountains and the drive is like maybe like 3 hours to where I was. And it's so funny because my plan A was to have this, rent a little like Wi-Fi box that so your phone would work. They didn't have those. And I'm just like, okay. And then there was no GPSs. And I was like, thank goodness I did enough planning to download a map. Like, so, because my data wasn't gonna work on the phone. So I had pre-downloaded maps. So at least I got to like the spot. But as I'm driving through like rural Nicaragua. Like I'm driving off of dirt roads, like in herds of cattle. I'm just like, what did I do? But also just like that whole trip, I was kind of feeling like my confidence come back and like feeling reflective of me even like 10 years ago. Like I don't know where I got that confidence. I think a lot of that 10 years ago was ignorance. But just kind of coming back to myself and like feeling like, okay, I got this. Actually, I'm fine. Like I'm good. And that whole week, it was just like, I think I was there for like a week and a half. Like not that even that long, but just navigating like this country I've never been to, and being so grateful for that opportunity to do that, and just like meeting wonderful people. And like it was funny that like I actually had a lot of anxiety built up about it, and then getting there I just felt like very confident in myself, and like everything was good. It was like such an amazing time. But it is interesting like knowing, I think like when I was younger I wasn't very confident, or I was just kind of faking my way through life, and but realizing like actually I'm a pretty confident person. And I'm really interested to see this video versus the one we did like 7 years ago, because I think the confidence is just like night and day to even when we did this 7 years ago. But that's like a fun like travel that I got to do last winter. And like David said, I ended up recently in rural Alaska, which was like very interesting and funny. I basically like just kind of like dated someone a little too hard, and ended up in rural Alaska, flying. It's just kind of a situation of I met someone, and like right after they're just like, hey, I actually work a third of the year in Alaska and I'm leaving. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. And then being like, oh, you could come visit. And I'm like, sweet, I would love to. And then like didn't see him for a couple months, but then I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna just go fly to Alaska. And yeah, that was like a wild trip. That actually ended up being a trip I realized not many people get to do. So it was a really cool opportunity, but we were, I guess, I was with like, just kind of like grouped in with their clients, which people are spending like almost like my year's like salary like on 1 week. So very different. And I was just there like I'm hanging with that dude. But I just got, the point was fishing. I have no interest in fishing, but like I'm down for an adventure. And so we took float plane. We were like in like way rural Alaska, the middle of nowhere. And then you have to like take a small bush plane there. And then we were taking float planes out even farther into like the tundra and different rivers, and to like find salmon. And I was just like, the whole time it was just like really funny. I'm just like suited up in waders every day. Like, what am I doing? And it was an awesome trip. And I've never been in these tiny little like 4-person planes. And you just look out the window and you can like spot like so much wildlife. Like Alaska, I hadn't really been there before, or hadn't seen like the wild Alaska, and it's like the most untouched areas. Like there's no, like up in the tundra and everything, there's like no evidence of humans, and it was like so beautiful. Yeah, it was definitely like a really unique place. And but yeah, I definitely had a couple moments of like just the funny adventure of it all, of just like, how did I get here? How did I get myself in all these situations? But still pretty grateful for them. But yeah, I don't know. It was really amazing being like in such like a rural, untouched area. Like it was crazy seeing like all the rivers are just full of salmon, and there's bears. I mean, bears will like walk right by you. And in the lower 48, you're supposed to be scared of bears. I mean, seems accurate. Up in Alaska, like they're just right there, and they're just like, meh, and you're like, oh, and it's, I don't know, it's a totally different relationship with bears up there. It was very interesting. But yeah, I don't know, I really like, I feel like I had touched on, like, the last time we were talking and doing one of these, I touched on, like, I think at the time I was feeling, like, a little exhausted by the city and ready to, like, get back into, like, the, like, more, like, green space and a little more in touch with, like, nature kind of thing. And I don't know, I'm still flip-floppy. I, like, love the city so much. It was funny because the last time we talked, I think I was really ready to, like, be away from the city, but I really miss New York a lot, actually. And, like, I really appreciate my time here. And I feel like I can appreciate New York so much more not living here, that, like, everything is just, like, so exciting. And when I actually moved back to Grand Rapids, it took a little adjusting to, like, get a little, like, I almost felt a little, like, I think I came off as a little, like, cold, or, like, I was just so used to the city where you have to protect your energy a little bit, and going right back into, like, Midwest friendliness was overwhelming. Like, I remember coming back to Michigan, and, like, I had been driving for a couple of years in New York, so I had to chill out with my driving skills, and everything was just slower paced, and having to get used to that was a little hard. And I remember, like, I don't know, the whole, like, strangers just talking to you, saying, hey, what's up, like, felt a little weird. I had trouble making eye contact for a while. Not in, like, a bad, more a silly way of, like, being in the Midwest. It's just, like, so friendly, and everyone, like, is chatting you up. And I had to, like, ease into that after living in New York for, like, the time I was here. And so then it's funny because, like, now coming back to New York, I'm just, like, so Midwest friendly when I'm here. It's funny, I don't know, but I think, like, people really appreciate it. Like, I got bagels, like, yesterday morning. I went and got bagels and, like, waited in, like, one of those crazy long lines, which is the first I ever did that. And, like, you know, everyone's, like, kind of, like, Russian, and I just, like, you know, was very, like, friendly and just like, hey, how are you doing? What's up? What's your name? And it just, like, totally made this person's day. And it's so funny because, like, I guess I saw both sides of it, of, like, living here, like, I got into the rush of the city and where you can sometimes lose those touches. And then going back to the Midwest, it was, like, hard to get back into that. And now I'm very Midwest friendly again. Then I come back here and, like, it brightens everyone's days, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of silly. It's like just a funny side thought. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like where I've been. I feel like I kind of have, like, stayed on that, like, thought process I had the last time we talked of, like, yeah, I went back to Michigan and not think I was going to stay there that long. But yeah, just kind of have been paving my own path. And yeah, I'm just, I don't know, navigating the world. I think, yeah. All right, so David just asked me where I think I'll be in another 7 years. And honestly, I think I'm going to be on a pretty similar path. I think I'm really happy with what I'm doing. I'm really happy being an independent artist. I mean, I'm definitely hoping to make some changes to make it easier on me and not have it just, like, all be me. But I'm really happy with, like, building my art and my company, and I want to keep doing that. So I hope to be doing that in 7 years. I hope to still be traveling. That's, I think, always going to be a priority for me. But I also hope to have, like, I don't know, like, a partner to do it with, not end up, who knows how many rural places I'll end up again on that quest. But I definitely hope to just keep doing what I'm doing because I feel pretty happy with the path that I'm on. So it'll just be a lot more adventures in 7 years.